There's also something else worth celebrating. That is this NC State basketball run to the Final Four. And I started poking around because yesterday on the show, I talked about how almost unfair it is to this year's team that at every step of the way, they're being compared to 1983.
Yeah, these guys weren't around.
Not only were they not around, that's also one of the greatest stories in sports history.
Yeah.
And it's kind of unfair to be like, oh, you won 2 games in the ACC championship? Starting to feel like 83. It's like, all right, well, let's see if it feels like an ACC championship before we start throwing around, buzzer-beating dunks to win the national championship.
Yeah.
Right? It's hey, you're a pretty good singer. Sounds a bit like Whitney Houston. Whoa. Let's see if we got Rebecca Black before we go Whitney Houston with it. But I started diving in because we had that comparison conversation. I don't know if you can blame us for going full. This is like 1983 because it is wildly similar to 1983. Here's some of the ways. I actually took some notes and wrote them down on all the ways that they're similar. Starting off kind of simple. Both 1983 and this year's team started with high expectations. Came into the year, the 1983 team was actually a top 25 team to start the year. Mm-hmm. Came in with high expectations. Both teams fell during the regular season and finished on a whimper. That's how the nicest way I could describe it.
Yeah, it's accurate.
1983 had a segment of games where they lost 5 of 6 games and a segment where they lost 6 of 8 games. They also finished losing 2 of their last 3 in the regular season. We've documented aggressively how the losing kind of stacked on top of each other this season, including losing their last 4. Then it gets to the ACC tournament. Both the 1983 Jim Valvano Survive and Advance Wolfpack, Cardiac Pack, beat 2 in-state rivals and UVA on their way to the ACC tournament title. Wake, UNC, and at the time, then number 2 ranked UVA. We know what happened this year, right? They beat Duke, they beat UVA, and they beat UNC, then ranked number 3 on the end of their ACC tournament run. They had to win a couple more games, but back then they just didn't have enough teams to play that wide.
More parallels.
ACC legend Ralph Sampson was an All-American and National Player of the Year candidate during that championship ACC run. R.J. Davis, ACC Player of the Year, All-American, ACC legend, in that ACC championship against NC State.
And a finalist for National Player of the Year.
And a finalist. We're still waiting on some of those decisions. Tough road through the tournament, but they were both taken to overtime by a mid-major opponent. Pepperdine in 83. Oakland this year.
Okay.
Faced a conference rival that they had beaten in the ACC tournament in the regional final. Duke this year, UVA in 1983. They were led by senior big men. Obviously DJ Burns, Thurl Bailey, and senior guards Sidney Lowe and Derek Wittenberg back in the day, DJ Horn, Casey Morcell, Michael O'Connell, whichever one you want to go with this year. There's a lot of similarities, and I'd throw this on. Survive and Advance became a rallying cry. It was something that was uttered early in the run. By the end, everyone has it. T-shirts. This year, why not us? You can go back and find it. I believe DJ Burns said it for the first time during one of their early wins in the ACC tournament.
Yeah.
Now, T-shirts. There's even a kind of a combo with the women, where the women NC State team, which is why not both, right?
Why not both?
Why not us? Why not both? If you don't want to be compared to 1983, you got to stop doing everything that 1983 was doing. Point. If you don't want to be compared to 19, it's like, if you're going to come out and shake your hips and have a swirly hair down the front, don't be mad when people say, hey, you're kind of like Elvis. Like it's the similarities, some out of their control, right? Playing UVA in the ACC tournament and then playing them again in the regional final, just like 1983 played UVA in the ACC tournament and then again in the regional final. They couldn't have planned that. They could, the seeding and everything had to break that way to happen. It's just very 1983 around here.
It's interesting how you brought up the beginning part of it. There were high expectations because there were high expectations. When you and I were going through much of the course of the season, player for player, we're like, we really like NC State's roster a lot.
Yep.
They've got depth. They've got guys that can shoot. They got big guys. The whole thing, it's like, it's all right there. Why is it not coming together? And back in 83, by all accounts, it came together at the right time. And so far for this postseason, it's coming together at the right time for NC State.
And that's the hardest part is the next part, right?
Mm-hmm.
The next 2 games will decide, like, if there's a movie made about this team. If 40 years from now there's going to be a 30 for 30 where they get everyone that's survived and is still around from this team, they put them around a table and chat and call that, survive in advance, or I guess it would be the 30 for 30. Why not us? Like, the next 2 games decide that. Although in his media availability today, Kevin Keats was asked if, obviously, the thing goes well and they do make a movie about this team. The head coach answered who would play him in a movie about this run.
Well, I know who I would love to play, but by the time they make the movie, it'll be too late. Hey man, Denzel Washington is the coolest dude ever. So maybe I got to pick somebody a little younger, but if he could play, if anybody could pull it off, it would be him. It would be definitely Denzel Washington. He'd be the great. You could always go back to a guy like Jamie Foxx. And, have you seen the things on the internet about him acting like a football coach? I think that was great.
First of all, keep shooting your shot, coach. Things are going well right now. It seems like everything you touch is working. Why not get Denzel attached?
If you want the younger guy, hit up Michael B. Jordan.
Or Denzel's son. Who's John David Washington, who's in a bunch of big movies recently. But you know how Kevin Keats is feeling himself? Denzel and Jamie Foxx.
Yeah,
that's how he's absolutely on a heater right now. It's like, who wants to play me? I don't know. How many world sexiest men can we fit into one movie?
Right?
It's who wants just 2 of the greatest Oscar-winning actors of all time. I think they could handle a good speech about why not us in the locker room.
Just go through the GQ top 100.
Yeah, exactly.
7. Let's go.
Who's the best out there right now? I think they could do a good job.
They could
acting as me. But there's more questions that come to it, right? Does anyone go on to have a long NBA career? Right, like the Thurl Bailey. Does anybody, or actually even as a program, right? Is this the beginning of a long run where suddenly Final Fours aren't movie worthy? Final Fours are more expected, or is this like 1983, kind of a little bit of the beginning of some turmoil that's going to last for 41 years before you get back? All of that still needs to be decided, but I think I have to take back what I said yesterday about let's not compare them to 1983 at every step. If they're going to do everything like 1983 at every step, I don't see how our brains will allow us not to. If you do everything like one of the greatest stories in sports, it is going to be impossible for us not to look around and ask, well, is this one of the best stories in sports? Because it's what it's been.